In the last video, I helped you get your first set of gear for dungeons, and in today's video, we're going to put upgrades on it. Upgrades come in two forms: runes, which go on your armor, and sigils, which go on your weapons. Technically, there's other ones, but we're going to simplify this for now. Runes and sigils are often overlooked by new players, and even by experienced players alike, because people just are lazy. But runes and sigils have such a huge impact on your build and your performance and on the damage that you do, that they simply cannot be overlooked. You absolutely need decent runes and sigils to be able to perform well in this game, especially as you're starting. Remember, as you are gaining more experience, your gear matters less and your skill matters more. Well, when you're just starting out, these are going to help you do your absolute best when you aren't necessarily fully skilled at doing the paths. Now, runes and sigils can be expensive. The runes that are recommended for most power builds are scholar runes, and those will cost you a few gold apiece, and you need 6 of them, so it can be pretty expensive and imposing to get those for your first set of gear. Luckily, there are budget options available, and I'm going to make some recommendations here for runes and sigils that'll start you off, and you won't be as optimal as you could be, but they'll help you out while you're trying to get your better gear and save up for those more expensive runes and sigils. So for runes for your armor, and remember, you're going to want 6 of each of these, I would also look at Flame Legion runes. Flame Legion runes are nice because they have a lot of power, which you want, and especially because on the 6th rune, you're going to get a 7% damage boost against burning foes. Now, in dungeons, you're usually going to have somebody who can apply burning, so there's a pretty good chance you'll be getting that 7% damage boost a lot. So that's a really, really huge benefit. It's not as good as the 10% damage boost on Scholar runes, but it's still pretty good. Another good option would be Runes of Rage. Runes of Rage give you Ferocity, which most of the time in the builds that you'll have, power would be better. Ferocity isn't quite as good, but it'll work. They also give you bonus Fury and a 5% damage modifier on the 6th rune. If you are under Fury. Now, that may or may not always be the case. Keep in mind that outside of dungeons, if you don't have a way to give yourself Fury, that can be a huge DPS loss. So for solo play, these may not be as good, unless if you're on something like a Herald or a Thief that can supply its own Fury. But for dungeons, they're still a pretty good choice, and they are relatively inexpensive. Another option to look into is the Superior Rune of the Privateer. Now, this is sort of a joke rune. It's like a pirate rune, and you get a parrot every so often when you get hit. If you're going to get this rune, I'd recommend only getting 5 of them, because the 6th bonus summons a parrot that's going to go and aggro a bunch of stuff and cause everybody issues. So consider this rune, but only get 5 of them. It just will give you a nice boost in your power. One last one to consider is the Rune of the Citadel. Rune of the Citadel will also give you those power boosts, plus some bonus Fury, plus a little bomb on the 6th bonus when you get struck. So this is another good, super cheap option that is basically about as cheap as Superior runes can get. Now, when it comes to sigils, most of the time you're going to be running Superior Force and Superior Air. There's other options in dungeons, but those are going to be kind of the standard ones. The problem is there's not necessarily a lot of great cheap sigils out there. What I would normally do, and this is what I've done on my character, is get a major Sigil of Force and a major Sigil of Air. Those will only be a few silver apiece, and you'll definitely be losing out on some damage, but it's not so much as to completely kill your build. If you have a little bit more funds available, consider doing a Superior Sigil of Accuracy. Yes, the superior version. That's going to be right now about 60 silver, but that 7% crit chance on most builds will be helpful while you don't have your full stats yet. If you're on something like a Thief that has a lot of bonuses in your traits, you may not need it, but for a lot of classes, that extra accuracy will help you keep up your crit chance, crit more often, and do more damage. It's, again, not going to be as good as a Superior Force, Superior Air, but it's significantly cheaper and will be a good temporary option while you save up for those better runes and sigils. If you have any questions about specific runes or sigils, feel free to leave them in the comments and we can have a little chat about it. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about the last thing you really need, which are consumables. We'll see you in the next video.